cast your shadow below. Swoop down on the foe, then sweep up the field away. Fly high over the trees, make known to the breeze our victory. Spread wide each wing, for you are the king. Blue eagle, the king. Blue eagle, the king. Blue eagle, the king.
Welcome to The Rundown, where we take you right into the action with the latest sports news, updates, game previews, breakdown, and analysis in, around, across, and beyond the Ateneo. And now, let's get ready to run down! Follow at radyo-katipunan in our social media accounts on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter.
To listen to music that uplifts the soul, follow jescom.ph on Spotify and jescom Music on YouTube. Our music is also available on iTunes and Deezer.
Oh, Ateneo, fight! Ateneo, fight! Ready, 1, 2, fight! A, fight T, fight E, fight S, fight E, fight O, fight blue and white. The blue and white will go and fight. Fight sis, boom ba, boom ra 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 ra, boom ra 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 ra, boom ra 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 ra. Fight A, fight T, fight E, fight S, fight E, fight O. Go, go, Ateneo.
Radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, katipunan, radyo, katipunan, radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, katipunan. Voice of the Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay Atenista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng kwela. Radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, katipunan, radyo, katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, katipunero sugod, todo sa kayod, tulong at tulong. Lipat na Blue Eagle, galing giting nagigil. Blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, katipunan, radyo, katipunan, radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, katipunan.
Radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, katipunan, radyo, katipunan, radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay Atenista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng kwela. Radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, radyo, katipunan, radyo, katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, katipunero sugod, todo sa kayod, tulong at tulong. Lipat na Blue Eagle, galing giting at tigil. Blue and white, Baka naman pwede?
Baka naman pwede.
Mga isyung napapanahon ating pag-usapan.
Baka naman pwede.
Gamit ang mga pananaw mula sa iba't ibang kalinangan.
Baka naman pwede.
Mula sa Institute of Philippine Culture, kami inyong samahan, tayo'y maghuntahan. Dito lang sa
Baka naman pwede.
Tuwing Huwebes, alas 3 ng hapon, dito lang sa Radyo-Katipunan 87.9 FM.
Ayan, magandang hapon sa ating lahat. Nakikinig kayo ngayon sa Baka Naman Pwede, isang programa ng Institute of Philippine Culture o ang IPC at ng Radyo-Katipunan na naglalayong pagnilayan ang mga napapanahong issue gamit ang lente ng agham panlipunan o ang social sciences. Nais din nating mapagkwentuhan ang mga bagay na baka naman pwede nating tingnan muli, pag-ukulan ng pansin at aksyonan. Ako si Angan mula sa Sanggunian ng Ateneo de Manila University at ng Loyola School's Gender Focal Point Committee. Noong nakaraang linggo, pinag-usapan natin ang iba't ibang mga isyong may kinalaman sa paggunita ng 1986 EDSA Revolution, kasama sina Dr. Roy Mendoza at Dr. Mike Pante ng History Department. Natutuhan natin ang iba't ibang mga naratibong umusbong pagkatapos ng revolusyon. Gayon din kung bakit magpahanggang ngayon ay natataglay pa rin ng kapangyarihan ang EDSA sa kamalayang Pilipino. Para sa mga gustong balikan ang mga nakaraang episodes ng Baka Naman Pwede, mangyari lamang na bisitahan niyo ang Facebook page ng Institute of Philippine Culture at ng Radyo-Katipunan. Sa episode na ito, bubuksan natin ang buwan ng Marso bilang selebrasyon ng Women's Month. Let's go, women! Sa pamamagitan ng talakayang Women Student Leaders in a Jesuit University. Ang partner po natin for this episode, ang Loyola School's Gender Focal Point Committee ng Ateneo de Manila University. So welcome no sa She Leads. Makakasama natin ngayong hapon sina Miss Kirsten Lois Papa ng Supreme Student Government ng Ateneo de Naga University, si Miss Samantha Cayona ng Samahan ng mga mag-aaral ng Ateneo de Davao University, at si Miss Paula Alexis Ando ng Buklod Atenista Alliance ng Ateneo de Zamboanga University. So very well represented no ang iba't ibang, just some of yung universities, Jesuit universities in the Philippines. So sa mga viewers natin sa Facebook, pwede kayong maging bahagi ng kwentuhang ito. Feel free to leave comments and questions during the discussion at babasahin natin yan sa ating Q&A portion mamaya. Ayun na, hindi ko na patatagalin pa. Please allow me to introduce our wonderful, beautiful, amazing guests for this afternoon. So una muna nating ipakikilala si Miss Kirsten Lois Papa ng Ateneo de Naga University. So hello Kirsten. So Kirsten is currently the External Vice President of the Ateneo de Naga University Supreme Student Government or AdNU SSG, and she seeks to promote inclusive and socially responsive education. She believes in the role of student governments in protecting the rights and welfare of their constituents, as well as providing them avenues to become morally upright and active civic agents. She gained recognition in her locality during her 2 years of internship and voluntary work as a city youth councilor, wherein she passed several resolutions and programs advocating for the youth, women, and environment. She is also a part of various organizations in AdNU. So at present, she has been working on the reactivation of the Ateneo Task Force, the Election Efforts Group of the SSG, and the Tingog Campaign, a gender inclusiveness project which seeks to give voices to the marginalized sector of the society. So welcome to Baka Naman Pwede, Miss Kirsten. Say hello.
Hello, thank you so much, Cara, and thank you so much, ICP. Thank you, everyone. I am so glad to be here, and I'm excited for our discussion. Thank you so much again, and hello, Diyos marhay na hapon sa inyong gabos, and good afternoon.
Ayan, thank you, Kirsten. No? And our other guest, our second guest for today is Miss Samantha Claire Cayona ng Ateneo de Davao University. Samantha Claire Cayona is a third-year BS Environmental Science student from the Ateneo de Davao University. She served as the Secretary General of the Samahan, the student government of AdDU for the school year 2020 to 2021. In her term as SecGen, she led the Eco Summit 2020, the first youth environmental forum, as the executive director, where more than 300 youth advocates from all over the Philippines convened to talk about environmental issues. Sam is now the executive director of Sibol Kidapawan, a youth organization in Kidapawan, North Cotabato, that aims to lead programs rooted to its three key advocacies: environment, social awareness, and youth empowerment. She now serves as the chairperson of the Council of Class Presidents of the Ateneo and the president-elect of the Samahan Central Board. So welcome to Baka Naman Pwede, Sam. Hello!
Hello, Cara. Hello po. Good afternoon. Maayong hapon sa tanan. I look forward to our conversation this afternoon. Really happy to be here. Salamat sa invitation.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. And last but definitely not the least is Miss Paula Alexis Ando of Buklod Atenista Alliance of the Ateneo de Zamboanga University. Paula Alexis Ando is a third-year BS Psychology student from the Ateneo de Zamboanga University and is the current national convener of the Buklod Atenista, the alliance of the 5 Jesuit higher education institutions in the Philippines. She is also the current president under Ateneo Peer Circle, the student organization arm of the AdZU College Guidance and Counseling Office. Additionally, she is also part of the core members of the Youth Leadership for Democracy PH or Youth-Led PH for the Zamboanga Coalition. So welcome to Baka Naman Pwede, Paula.
Hello at magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Good afternoon, everyone. I am so honored to be here with my fellow women student leaders. No? Buenas tardes, con ustedes, and I hope that we really have a great conversation as we discuss different issues and, of course, highlighting the power of women student leaders.
Yes naman. So those are our 3 amazing panelists or guests for today, no? So very women power, especially we just started, no, yung Women's Month in March. So salamat muli sa iyong pagtanggap sa aming paanyaya na maging bahagi ng palatuntunang ito. Katulad ng nabanggit, ang episode na ito ay bahagi ng ating month-long celebration na kahalagahan at gampanin ng mga kababaihan sa ating lipunan at kaunlaran. So bilang panimula, baka naman pwede niyong kaming kwentuhan muna kung ano-anong mga pinagkakaabalahan ninyo nitong mga nakalipas na araw or what keeps you busy these days. And baka we can start with Paula.
Okay, so again, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Good afternoon, Karen. No? For now, I'm currently busy with my academics. Here in Ateneo de Zamboanga University, we are now on our finals week for the first session ng sa aming institution. No? So medyo tumatambak po yung mga requirements, but of course, we are still doing well naman. And aside from that, I'm currently being committed with the Youth Leadership for Democracy at the Zamboanga cluster. Actually, just a few months ago, actually nung February lang po, nagkaroon kami ng onboarding cluster in the hopes that we're able to have a coalition among Zamboanga youth organizations so that we'll be able to have a youth agenda, kumbaga naman, in our own region, in Region 9. So that's what keeps me busy, and I hope everyone's doing well din this afternoon.
Grabe, napaka-busy naman, Paula. And I think, grabe, no? Good luck with your finals. Thank you for joining us pa rin kahit finals mo. So, and very excited, no, to see what the youth agenda for Zamboanga youth will be for the upcoming election. So, how about you naman, Sam?
Actually, same kay Paula. I'm really busy with the academic responsibilities. It's already March, so we're in the last month of the second semester in the Ateneo de Davao. So academic loads are piling up. But aside from that, as you mentioned, I'm the president-elect of the Samahan, our student council. So we're focusing now on planning on the transition works for the student council, and we want to make sure na ready ang samahan, especially because next academic year, hopefully we're returning to campus na. So that's what keeps me busy right now. Actually, grabe yung academic requirements kasi third year na. I also understand Paula's struggle with the academic responsibilities, no? But laban lang, padayon lang.
Yes, definitely. Padayon, padayon ra kay wakay te choice. Ganon. so, so thank you Sam for sharing your experience na especially with the transition sa bagong samahan central board. So good luck to you and your new officers. And what about naman Kirsten?
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Sam, Paula, Cara. I think pare-parehas tayong busy talaga ngayon sa academics, no? Sobrang tambak ng requirements, tapos mga BS or pa. So ngayon naman, kami dito sa AdNU SSG, isa sa mga pinagkakaabalahan namin ngayon is yung reactivation ng Ateneo Task Force. So, gumagawa kami ng proposals, finish up namin yung mga details para sa ATF 2022, seeing na sobrang lapit na ng national and local election. So, yun yung parang pinaka-focal point namin ngayon. So, yun lang, and dahil galing na kay Sam ang padayon. So, sa akin naman, pahuyaw. Let's all rest naman. Find some time to rest and take care of ourselves. Kasi kailangan natin yun ng oras rin para sa sarili, bukod sa oras para sa lipunan and sa mga co-students natin.
Ayun. Thank you, Kirsten. I think definitely, no, na grabe parang all of us sa call very BS org, very ang daming gustong gawin sa world, no? And I think it's also interesting na we all bring up na kailangan talaga ng balancing act na ayun may ganap sa school, may ganap sa extracurriculars or sa iba't ibang engagements and our responsibility sa society, sa country. And I guess I just wanted to ask, no, where for everyone, no, where do you think your leadership journey started? Or ano yung kwentong student leader mo? And if ever, are there unique experiences because we're all women that factored into that leadership journey, no? So and anyone, ito na yung start of our free flowing conversation, no, na anyone can share. I guess maybe siguro while we're reflecting on our pasts. I think something na I feel like a lot of other student leaders don't or other students no don't get to see is really for me, no, as a woman, as a student leader, would be having to deal with yung images or yung stigma, yung quote-unquote stigma surrounding women na super active, na super ang daming engagements, na taking yung quote-unquote taking up too much space or being too much to handle kasi ang daming kailangan gawin. And parang feel ko that's not something na yung mga male counterparts ko would experience, having to like explain to people or keep explaining to other people now why we wanted to go down this path, no, of being very active in our society, no. So I guess that's something na that still has stuck with me until today. Sa iba't ibang gawin ko na, why don't you spend more time on other things, ganyan, or why you so busy, that I don't think is questioned sa other male leaders, no. How about you, my fellow women leaders?
Ayun. Sige,
Yes, Paula.
start, no, Cara. I would say that my leadership journey is relatively new. Kasi when I was in like grade school and high school, hindi naman din ganun ako ka-active in terms of leadership positions. Actually, I actually started out talaga in journalism. I've been consistently a campus journalist ever since I was in high school, when I was in elementary actually. And when I took the position, when I actually ran for governor, that was my previous position in our institution. No, that was one of the major leadership responsibilities that I really had, and from then on, parang doon din ako natuto. And I believe, as Cara has said nga na, there is that stigma when it comes to women leaders. Though I am very much grateful that my support system has been very strong and has been very supportive. However, meron pa rin talagang naririnig, oh, sobrang busy mo naman, wala ka nang time para ganito, ganyan. But still, yun na nga, being surrounded with other people who share the same vision as you would really help you go on and move forward nga naman. And I think that that's all pa naman that I could share. And I believe Sam and also Kirsten have their own leadership stories nga, no? And I'm very much grateful nga because of the leadership journey that I had when I was in first year in college. Now I'm in my third year. It really opened up new journeys or new leadership positions nga, and I'm very much glad and honored to take up this space nga naman unapologetically. No? So ayun, baka may magustong sabihin sila Sam or si Kirsten.
Well, as for me,
Period. Unapologetically taking up space. Ay, sorry, Sam.
sorry. Sa akin naman, actually very similar kami ni Paula. I also started sa campus journalism in high school. And then, ako yung tipo ng estudyante na walang pakialam sa world in high school. Siguro parang, I observe people, but I do not lead big groups. Parang, walang pakialam sa world, ganyan na student. But I participate in campus journalism na competitions. And then, my journey wasn't really like an instant na parang I ran for this position, ganyan. I took small tasks in organizations like secretariat works, and that's when I gained the confidence paunti-unti to get bigger tasks in the future, and then eventually yung confidence level andyan na. So yung inalok na ako to run for bigger positions, that's when parang I said yes na. So it wasn't really an instant na student leader na agad ako. Kasi sabi ko nga, in the past, I didn't really care about student leadership, about politics. Ganyan talaga ako na estudyante before. So as for me, while I recognize na parang may stigma on women leading, fortunately, I didn't experience that, or siguro wala namang nasabi in my face na discriminatory ng mga words, fortunately. But I recognize that there are really instances na may mga ganyan na nangyayari. It just so happened that I am fortunate na walang ganyan, thankfully. But yeah, my student leadership journey, hindi naman siya masyadong exciting, but yun nga, unti-unti, it's not instant. Yun, Cara.
Thanks, Sam. I think it's this something I see na shared no between you, Paula, and maybe Kirsten when she answers the question no, is may process of confidence building to take on these different challenges or these different positions. Kirsten, do you feel the same way ba?
Yeah, pero feeling ko actually nagsimula yung journey of leadership ko simula nung bata pa ako, kasi I feel like it's something really close to my heart, but I was also very timid back then. Lalo na when there was this time na I was leading an activity with my classmates back then. And then a parent said na, sino man yan? Ano man yan? Parang, saan man yan? Ano man ang mararating yan? Etc. And at that point, parang the doubt made me also doubt myself. But at at another point of view, in a different perspective, I thought na maybe I could use this. Like at a very young age, I thought of that. Maybe I could use this as a growing point. And I use it to push myself to grow. And right now, when I look back at that very timid, like little child, I'm so proud of her right now that she's taking up positions, taking up spaces, and doing her best to na help people and to be a part of something bigger than herself.
Mhm. Wow, grabe. Thank you, Kirsten. I think yun among all of us now here sa call, it's really inspiring to be in the same space, and lalo na ano, knowing other women student leaders na dumadaan sa proseso of confidence building, having to deal with self and external doubt from peers, and then ayun, like what we all said, no, taking up space unapologetically. So I think relating not to this experience of coming into your own, no, or being working on the best versions of ourselves, lalo na sa pagiging leader. I guess I wanted to ask, do you have that same support system of other women student leaders in your universities? Baka we can start off with Kirsten.
Yeah, and thank you. Actually, I want to share. I feel like mas nag-grow ako into becoming a student leader nung pumasok ako sa Ateneo de Naga University. Because of the environment, the culture na, you can really see women. You can see them na they're striving their best. They're taking officership roles. And actually right now sa college, sobrang raming student leaders na women. So most of them are women talaga. And actually, base sa director ginagawa ko kanina, last time, and base sa pag-check ko kanina, I found out na majority of the presidents sa organizations dito sa Ateneo are women. So like over the 37 listed organizations na accredited and nag-reactivate uli ngayong pandemic, 28 of them are women. So it's truly amazing, no, how well represented we are na, and how these women actually are successful leaders and are very, very passionate women leaders. So that's amazing.
Grabe. Ang galing, no. I think there really is yun, mahalaga talaga yung representation na, or may role models na yun to inspire us, to mold us, no, na kaya natin gawin to, lalo na sa leadership. How do you feel about that, Sam, or your own experiences?
Actually, the same with Kirsten, no. Pagpasok ko ng Ateneo, that's also the time when I took major positions na. And it was also because of the people, of the support system, no, na who believed in me. And same din sa Ateneo de Naga, ang daming babaeng student leaders in Ateneo de Davao. In fact, majority of the club presidents are women, majority of the class presidents are women. And I'm so happy also to say that in the recent Samahan elections, the positions are dominated also by women. So we are exposed to more women in the student leadership arena in Ateneo de Davao, and it's really inspiring actually. And it's unfortunate nga na may naririnig ako na may mga na existing pa rin yung stigma towards women student leaders. It's really unfortunate, but in our context, grabe yung representation tulad sa Ateneo de Naga, sabi nga ni Kirsten, and I'm really happy about that. It's very inspiring, and hopefully in the future magpatuloy pa yung participation ng mas marami pang kababaihan in the leadership arena. Yun ka.
Thank you, Sam. Musta naman sa AdZU? Same experience, same structure ba?
Ayun. So, I'll just change nga naman. Sorry for the background noise, no? But in Ateneo de Zamboanga University, I'm very much happy. I'm very glad to say the same. Kasi it's also when I got into AdZU that I was able to really grow and hone nga my skills as a student leader, as a woman student leader. Kasi the support system is very strong. And the administration has been very supportive naman in the formation of student leaders in general, and as well as yun nga, putting women up front. And also, I believe that in AdZU, no, in our student government, it's El Consejo Atenista. Previously, we have our female student president, that is Sofia Gallego. So, quick shout out na lang din. And also in my time as a governor and as part of the board of college governors, we were also mas marami po yung mga babae. And that also translated in this terms, administration. The governors are mostly dominated by women, and also for the organization heads. And actually speaking na din in behalf of Buklod Atenista, which is the alliance of the five higher education institutions. The ambassadors from each Ateneo schools as women. I actually remember the time na I convened a meeting with the National Congress. That's the ambassadors nga of the different Ateneo schools. And habang nag-usap kami, parang bigla akong na-realize at nasabi ko sa kanila, halos lahat pala tayo babae dito. Ay hindi, lahat pala tayo babae dito. Kasi 4 out of 5 ambassadors were present, and along with the deputies. And that meeting room was filled with women. And nasabi ko siya out loud actually. And it was really nice na they also said na, oh nga no, dito din pala, babae din pala talaga tayo. So it's a really warm feeling when you're surrounded with the same people nga naman talaga who share the same struggles with you as women, because of course we have shared experiences. So I'm really grateful din talaga with the Ateneo institutions, the Jesuit institutions, for being so supportive in making or allowing women to have safer spaces nga to lead and take space talaga.
Thank you, Paula. And speaking on Buklod, shout out din sa AdNU ambassador. Go Anya, thank you. And I think parang halos pareho talaga yung experiences natin. I think across the different Ateneo universities, even here, even in AdMu, no, pareho naman na very strong women student leaders. It's a very strong support system, and I think like what Paula and what all of us were saying, no, that it really serves as a support system, na may shared experiences, may shared struggles. And I guess like bouncing off on this question, no, do you think in your opinion, no, do you think that more representation equals for more spaces for women, or more gender responsive policies, or yung mga gender sensitive na policies? Yan. So, baka we'd want to start off with Paula this time.
Sige, no. I believe that in Atenean institutions, we can really see that women are being well represented, no. So, of course, we wouldn't want that to be just a one-time thing. For example, it only exists, for example, in Sam's administration lang, or kay Kirsten, you want it to be sustainable. And for that sustainability to happen talaga is to have gender responsive policies that would ensure that, for example, women are well supported. And kasi of course, despite the supportive administration, we are still bound to the stigma. Andyan pa rin yan. That's something inevitable. So we have to anticipate that, and we have to really take that into account in for example, making policies, no. In AdZU naman, speaking on behalf of the university, I believe that on the works pa siya actually when we come up with gender responsive policies. Kasi parang as of now medyo okay naman, but of course we really strive to be better, and that we really cater to the needs of course not just women, and to have equality amongst genders nga naman, because we believe and we respect the opportunities and the potential of everyone to have their highest potential talaga.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Paula. No. What do you think naman on this, Sam?
Representation is very important, and it's also the opportunity, sabi nga na mas maraming babaeng student leaders, it's also an opportunity to forward more projects related nga sa women empowerment. In I remember last month we had this conversation with some student advocates about sexual harassment. Napaka-sensitive na issue ng sexual harassment, no? And in our conversations, it was discussed na mas comfortable yung mga victims in talking to women compared to men. And so this is an opportunity to forward programs na, for example, on giving awareness or on leading campaigns for awareness about sexual harassment or any other related issues, no. It's also an opportunity na hindi lang mag-start ng campaigns and projects that are limited to the Ateneo space alone, but to extend it to communities outside our university. So that's also the plan namin sa administration to to plan on how we're going to lead events such as sexual harassment na mga awareness campaigns, no. Very sensitive ang issue, but it's also an important discussion. It's also important that we also have programs related to it. So it's a really a nice opportunity na maraming babae ang nasa leadership space. And conversations like this are put in the open, hindi yung parang tinatago, hindi yung parang problema lang ng iilang tao. So we're discussing these things and hopefully we can forward more projects related to women empowerment and yun nga, yung sexual harassment campaign awareness. Yun.
Thank you, Sam, no? And grabe, ang ganda ng sagot. And I wanted to highlight lang yung kasi earlier in this conversation, no, we were talking about yung importance ng shared experiences, but now parang nagbe-build na on shared solidarity or shared sense of community na it's important na may there are people or women in power na ma-relate sa experiences of women in our constituencies, no, lalo na sa yung gender-based issues or mga yung sexual and gender-based violence, kumbaga. So I think and now we have with women student leaders who are in the position na pwede i-lobby ng iba't ibang policies or yung projects. It helps talaga sa forwarding ng women's protection, women's welfare in our schools. Ikaw naman, Kirsten, how do you feel about how do you feel about this topic?
You know, I really feel like representation is very much needed because, you know, it goes a long way. And seeing us here today, I feel like it legitimizes women empowerment and the women's role in leadership. So I feel like we have to truly legitimize it more through focusing on our own institutions. Kasi kami dito sa Ateneo de Negri University, when I checked the gender policy and the existence and the status of offices concerning that, you know, gender involvement, gender development, etc. I feel like, like in a sense, theoretically and in like sa behavior ng mga students dito sa Ateneo, feeling ko it exists na, but you know, there's still a need for it to be really established. So there's a need for us to take initiatives to make legislations, approve legislations, policies that would actually really protect and really forward, you know, our interest as women and as people coming from different, you know, the gender spectrum.
Thank you, Kirsten, and thank you, no, sa flagging out ng gender policy sa AdNU and what has been done. Is there a similar gender policies in AdZU or AdDU na galing sa administration mismo? Baka, Paula?
For AdZU, I believe I could share something that is also specifically talaga in sexual harassment. I know it's very sensitive po talaga siya na topic and it shouldn't be handled lightly because of course there are really accounts in the university, and of course women or in general, they really experienced this, no? So that in that way, then AdZU is really trying to forward to have a safer space, and hindi lang naman safer space physically. For example, ngayon we are here having sessions online because of course harassment could be anywhere and everywhere. And of course, that's why AdZU has been very keen on that. And hopefully nga naman, no, as much as I know, ito pa lang talaga naging focal point ng AdZU. But I believe that there are initiatives pa talaga when we create more focus group discussions, but with more women leaders na may magagawa pa tayo, and we could more identify the things that we want to forward, especially to the administration, because of course, what better way to really institutionalize it is to really have it as a policy within our school, to have that tangible legislation to say that we are protected and we are assured that these policies are well implemented and well executed talaga.
Yan, thank you, Paula, no? How about sa AdDU, Sam?
Sa AdDU naman, may existing naman na mga gender-based na mga policies. But siguro talking about gender in general, when I entered Ateneo, the first siguro na isa sa mga significant na na-notice ko when I first entered Ateneo was the all-gender restrooms. So I was so surprised back then, hala, bakit may all-gender restrooms? Para saan? In high school, I have this mindset. Hindi kasi ako welcoming of the LGBT community when I was in high school. I had that kind of mindset na parang bashable sa Twitter, ganun. So ganun yung mindset ko when I was in high school. And then it changed when I entered Ateneo gradually, no? So yun yung isa sa mga significant na na-notice ko in the Ateneo de Davao, yung mga all-gender restrooms, and yung ano din, I think it's the first in Mindanao, if I'm not mistaken. Ateneo had all gender restrooms first in Mindanao, if I'm not mistaken. So yun, and I also want to point out what Paula said about the group discussions. Kasi maraming student leaders in the university wants to create this parang women's org na parang similar siguro sa Gabriela, parang ganyan. I don't know if you have your women's org in Ateneo de Manila or in Ateneo de Naga or XU or AdZU, but sa amin kasi wala pa. And I think it's also a very important opportunity kasi doon din ma-raise yung mga concerns, yung pwede pang gawin ng administrators or ng university as a whole to address problems relating to gender in the university. So may existing naman ng mga policies, but yun, I think the all gender restroom is something that's very significant and very symbolic din in the Ateneo de Davao.
Oh, thank you, and congrats mo sa Ateneo de Davao for being the first na may all gender restrooms. And I think you mentioned, Sam, na parang when you entered into AdDU, parang nabago yung tingin mo sa yung different gender identities. And I guess I wanted to ask this question to everyone, no? What has been the impact of Jesuit formation or Jesuit education or your school to your journey as a woman student leader? Baka, Kirsten, you want to chime in?
Sure, hi. Wait lang. Meron din kami ng ganong CR sa Ateneo de Naga University. So parang, yan. So, naisingit ko lang. So, ayun, going back to the question, dati, yes, I was actively participating na, but not as much as I was participating like right now in AdNU College. Kasi dito sa mga Jesuit universities, I think common to sa lahat. Dito sa AdNU, we offer formative programs that actually, really bring Ateneans closer to the grassroots sectors and closer to reality. We are given opportunities to immerse ourselves with what is happening, and I think it builds a culture of empathy among us. Like it allows us to see the commonality of our experiences and to reflect on that and to to reflect on what is needed and what's our role as women student leaders and actually improving the situation of our fellow women and not only our fellow women but our fellow men in general, our fellow citizens rather. And I think it's very important na to have an institution that is actually concerned with the formation and the welfare of the students and is concerned to molding us into becoming active active and responsive civic agents.
Thank you, Kirsten. I think, ayun, I think I really feel that din no sa coming from AdNU na talagang may emphasis on service to the country, service to society, lalo na sa mga yung iba't ibang marginalized communities na the way of teaching that naman hindi naman gendered na kasi dahil babae ka or dahil lalaki ka kailangan ganyan. So in I think in Jesuit institutions, it's very kung Filipino ka or if kung tao ka, then we always want to do more for the country or for society. How about sa AdZU, Paula?
Ayun. So, I believe nga, no, generally in Jesuit institutions, but specifically on AdZU talaga, we take pride on the holistic formation talaga of students. And as Kirsten have said nga, no, na we are not just here in the Ateneo, for example. I know that academics, of course, is a priority, but it's not the sole focus nga naman of the institution. When we say that we are formed to be Ignatian leaders, we are not just leaders who are academically competent, but is also very much involved with grassroots initiatives and being there, as we all know, for in the service of God and country nga din naman talaga, di ba? And I believe there has been very pragmatic and very tangible programs when it comes to AdZU, specifically for organizations or for leading nga talaga. We have a specific office, which is the Assistant to the Vice President for Student Leaderships and Organizations, to assure that student leaders are well supported in their endeavors. And of course, knowing that organizations have different nature, we have different clusters such as social civic, may publications, may academic, may departmental. So napakarami. And these organizations, through the offices and the different programs that are provided by AdZU, should they would be ensured that there would be a next generation of Ignatian leaders who are really there in the front lines, kumbaga. Specifically then as women, I believe that AdZU has really been supportive and hindi din talaga naman nagkulang in putting women out there, no? But I believe that we can do this more. And hopefully nga din talaga, it would really be consistent. And alam ko, to add lang din, no, I believe that student organizations really took a toll, especially in this pandemic, na iba yung tipong organizing. Kasi alam natin ito, we have these live, FB Live. Hindi naman talaga to yung naging ganito when pre-pandemic pa. And I'm glad din na AdZU has been able to really support organization. So in the Jesuit formation talaga, it could really be assured. And actually, hindi naman to for sugarcoating lang talaga. But really, when I entered AdZU, when I entered the Ateneo, it really helped me to see things in a bigger perspective, no? And hopefully then talaga it would really be translated outside of the Ateneo when we go on with our fieldwork and also reaching out to the different communities.
Yan, thank you, Paula. Very holistic. Yun yung sentiments na nafe-feel ko ngayon. And I think before going to Sam's answer for this question, for our viewers on Facebook, no, if ever may mga tanong kayo or comments, you can send it sa live stream natin, and then our team will send it here para we can answer your questions. Pero going back, Sam, ano yung thoughts mo or yung experiences mo?
Siguro related din sa sharing ko earlier, Jesuit formation or Jesuit education in general really had an impact to me as a student leader and as a person in general. As I've mentioned, I wasn't that very accepting person when I was in high school, and then when I entered Ateneo, that's where everything changed. I met diverse individuals, diverse ideas, and then Ateneo itself was also very embracing of the diversity of people, and I've seen that grabe ang inclusivity in the university, and I carry that also as a student leader in the groups that I'm affiliated or in the groups that I am leading, na parang also uphold inclusivity in the spaces that we have. And of course, relating also sa mga sharing ni Kirsten and Paula, yung Jesuit formation and education, grabe din yung pag-introduce ng service to communities as sa amin, no. In the past, the projects were just for people in the university lang, people in the schools, yung past experience ko. But when I was introduced when I entered Ateneo, we were really encouraged to lead efforts, projects for communities outside the university, partnership with kahit anong community, as long as makabigay ng serbisyo to the people. And that's also something that's really significant in the Jesuit formation and education, no? To be men and women for others, ika nga.
Thank you, Sam. And I think building on this talk about yung education or yung curriculum, siguro just a quick question, no? Are there gender related classes or courses in your universities? At ayun, so may mga, let's say, minor in gender studies, mga ganon, or yung specific classes na about gender. Baka sa AdDU, Sam, would you know?
I'm actually not aware so far, pero I think wala pa. But it's actually a good idea. We can pitch that to our administrators, no, na may parang gender-related courses din ng Ateneo. Thank you for that, Cara.
Thank you, Sam. How about sa Kirsten, sa AdNU?
Sa AdNU, actually, I'm not really aware if mayroong established na course offering talaga. But we have this alternative class programs wherein we offer different topics. And actually, I think it was last year or last academic year, or di ko na matandaan kung 2020 to 2021 or 2021 to 2022, yung nag-offer kami ng offering about understanding sexual health, as well as understanding the spectrum of the LGBTQ community. And I feel like it's very important, to educate people and to make them aware of the gender inclusivity programs of the university. Kasi also dun sa LGBTQ spectrum, kasi we're aware that they're existing and we're aware that they need to be protected and to be well represented, but we're not but in order for us to actually be able to advocate for them, I feel like it's important to understand and to know more about them, kasi you cannot speak about something if you do not know about something. So I feel like that's very important.
Thank you, Kirsten. Ang ganda ng class topic na yan, parang understanding sexual health na, I think yun, it's very, very progressive in the Catholic institution, no, na we talk about that. Sa AdZU, Paula, meron ba?
For AdZU naman, same with Sam, no? I'm not fully aware, pero as far as I know, reviewing din talaga ang prospectus of the different courses that we have. So far, hindi pa siya masyadong integrated. Though it has been discussed in few lessons, pero hindi talaga siya as in a separate course or a separate class. However, there are programs outside the curriculum. For example, we are are really tackling about gender equality. There has been programs or webinars lately, pero hindi pa talaga siya fully na-integrate sa curriculum. And I believe that's also something that is worthy of discussing with the administration kasi yun na nga naman, even if wala pa, hindi naman yun ibig sabihin na wala na talaga. We could still have discussions and really lobby it to the administration para naman hopefully nga all the Atenean institutions talaga will have classes talaga that is specific on gender, so that will be really more aware talaga of what we need to do.
Thank you, Paula. I think yun, definitely agree no na may mga pwede panggawin for really a gender inclusive, gender responsive institution, no? And I guess to segue lang, building on that to our last question, what do you think should be done to forward women's interests in Jesuit educational institutions? Yan, baka Sam?
Siguro, Kara, I will answer this siguro as a president-elect of Samahan. So I think our vision kasi of the next academic year is for the Samahan to really lead projects that are not only responsive to the concerns of our constituents in Ateneo, but also outside. But relating to the question na parang about forwarding women's interests, I think it would be impactful if the student government itself is visible in forwarding such programs related to women empowerment, for example. And that's something that we can really invest on in our term in the Samahan. And alongside with that, coordinate with our organizations in the university and discuss more how we can improve gender-related programs of not only organizations of Samahan, but also the whole university. So that's something that we can invest on for the next academic year. Kasi pag visible and active yung Samahan in forwarding women's interests or student councils in general, mas nahihimok yung estudyante and other organizations to also participate and to lead their own initiatives. So that's for me, Kara.
Thank you, Sam. For you, Paula.
Ito, dahil din nabanggit din ni Sam, no, about student government, I'll be speaking as the national convener of Buklod Atenista. Kasi we tackled about solidarity early on, and I believe this alliance really is a great way or a great starting point to really further enhance or further develop the interests nga, specifically for women. I believe there has been previous legislations na from the previous sessions of Buklod. But then again, since we still have more to do, marami pa po tayong pwedeng gawin. So of course, echoing what Sam has said, that the student government should really be visible and in terms of really creating projects. And of course, being visible not just to your own constituents, but of course sharing the best practices with the other Atenean institutions. Kasi this discussion really is actually a way of sharing best practices, no? Listening how Kirsten and Sam, and also for Kara here in AdMU, no? Na putting that in the alliance in Buklod Atenista, I believe it's a great way to really have a more solid and a more strong approach, so that we'll be able to really forward interest for the good of, for gender equality, and of course, specifically for women. And even this is my first year as a national convener, and my second year and my last year since graduating na ako next year. And hopefully as Kirsten, Sam will be joining us in the alliance, and of course, Kara, whoever your successor may be, we really hope that we'll continue to have conversations like this, and that we'll be able to have a tangible, very visible solution that we could integrate in our own institutions.
Ayan. Thank you, Paula. And last but not least, Kirsten.
Although I feel like dito sa Ateneo de Naga and even sa Ateneo schools sa Manila, AdZU, AdDU, I feel like well represented na ang women. But more than representation wise, I feel like I'm more than sending the message from the representation. We inspire more people to actually be involved in officerships in student organizations. I feel like there also needs to be a collaboration and a coordination between the administration and the student organization, especially with the main body or the main student council of our universities, so that we could, hand in hand promote, lobby, and produce tangible results that could actually really promote women positions, women empowerment. And it goes to show that we are turning into becoming a more progressive school, more progressive university. And I feel like most of us will share the same sentiment na when there's a collaboration between the administration and the student organizations, or the student in general, it goes to show na, gaya nga yung mga sinasabi kanina na we're standing in solidarity, no? Parang it goes to show how, as a collective, na we want to really campaign for, and we are adamant in, protecting the interest and the rights of our co-students, of our constituents. So I feel like we have to establish more policies and, programs that could really reflect that goal, and that could really aid us into achieving that by offering programs, and gaya yung sinabi kanina, yung mga napag-usapan natin, and into actually possibly offering a course na para mas maintindihan and mas mapalawak natin yung kaalaman and yung sakop, and mas maging matagumpay yung pinaglalaban natin na women empowerment, gender inclusiveness, etc.
Maraming salamat, Kirsten, Sam, at Paula sa kwentuhan natin ngayong hapon. And I think if we wanted to summarize, no, ano yung pinag-usapan natin ngayon, I think it really comes down to three main points. Yung isa, the importance of representation at yung shared experiences or solidarity sa mga women and gender minorities. At bukod pa doon, parang yung continuing the broadening of spaces for women and gender minorities in our schools. And then second, we talked about yung sustainability, no, ng advocacy for women empowerment, gender equality sa mga polisiya ng institution, or even on the student government level. And finally, parang we talked about the role of student governments or organizations in lobbying for more, or yung pagbuo ng collective action para sa pagbabago, or what else can be done for women and gender minorities in our schools. So bago tayo umalis, hihingi tayo ng pabaon mula kina Kirsten, Sam at Paula. So mga kapwa student leaders, baka naman meron kayong mensahe sa ating mga kababayan, especially sa mga kabataang Atenista ngayong gunita ang Women's Month. So baka may mga projects na gusto niyong i-plug or programs. So baka we can start with AdZU, Paula.
So hello everyone again. Thank you so much for having me. And of course, we are standing in solidarity with women and of course all the gender minorities in this month of March. Hindi babae ka, hindi ka babae lang. And hopefully, you'll be able to tune in also with the programs that are prepared by the Ateneo de Zamboanga University for Women's Month, and also under the Council of Leaders Assembly under El Consejo Atenista, as they will be having programs or webinars that is related in having more space, safer spaces for women. And yun lang naman din, and hopefully lahat po tayo ay makikilahok sa mga ganitong diskurso at patuloy nating ipaglaban ang kababaihan.
Ayan, thank you, Paula. Baka Sam, yung message mo or yung anything you want to plug?
Cara, I just want to say thank you to the organizers of this event for inviting me. I'm also very happy to be here. Siguro, I just want to segue lang siguro for my message this afternoon. Just want to remind everyone to engage to meaningful and peaceful conversations for the national elections. This is really a time for us to be more conscious of the words we say in social media, and siguro when we converse in face-to-face dialogues with people. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be here, Kara, and everyone who's behind of this program. And it's really meaningful kasi marami akong napulot na pwede namin gawin din sa Ateneo de Davao. So thank you also to Kirsten and Paula for sharing your ideas. I hope we can also implement the same programs to the university to better improve our gender-based policies and programs. So daghang salamat and maayong hapon.
Thank you, Sam and Kirsten. Baka for AdNU.
Ayan, first of all, I would really like to thank ICP, AdDU, AdZU, AdMU, and everyone behind this activity because, it's truly empowering on its own to see a group of women coming here together and showing now how we as a collective of student leaders are representing women in general and how we're becoming more and more more and more empowered all together as we stand here. But just a message for everyone who's watching and to all of us. I also want to tap in to the upcoming elections. I feel like we have to really discern and engage in discourses and educate ourselves to really elect the right leaders who will lobby for our rights, who will protect our rights. And I feel like we have to choose for someone who will really advocate for women and for everyone, for the gender minority. I feel like that's very important. So so segue ko na this coming this Women's Month and this coming elections na choose your leader or choose the leader who will represent and advocate for your rights.
Thank you, Kirsten. And I think sa mga students of AdMU, we also invite you to visit ateneo.edu kasi andun yung full calendar of activities for Women's Month sa university natin. So pero simulan natin so we can ask maybe ano yung baka naman pwedeng statement niyo. So we talked a little bit about that and ang dami nating gusto ng that we want to see. So in terms of women empowerment or women's issues, ano yung baka naman pwede? Maybe Paula?
Okay, sige no, baka naman pwede that in Chavacano, in Zamboanga, ano pa yan, it's era pa de también. Pero going back to baka naman pwedeng gumawa pa tayo ng mga patakaran upang maipaglaban natin ang ating karapatan bilang mga kababaihan.
Thank you, Paula. Sam?
Baka naman pwede na mas marami pang programa at polisiya para sa mga kababaihan ang maisulong ng mga student councils, ng mga institusyon at iba pang mga organisasyon. Yun lang.
Thank you, Sam. And Kirsten?
I'll keep it short lang. Baka naman pwedeng babae na ang susunod na mamumuno.
Thank you. Thank you, Kirsten, for and everyone for your baka naman pwede statement. So baka naman talaga pwede. At dito nagtatapos ang baka naman pwede. Maraming salamat muli sa ating mga guests na sina Miss Kirsten Papa, Sam Cayona at Paula Ando. So where can our listeners connect with your different organizations or your student governments online? For AdNU? Kirsten?
Tinatchan ako kasi. Actually, we have 3 social media pages. We have the AdNU SSG Facebook or AdNO Facebook, as well as Twitter and Instagram. And also, I feel like the fastest way to communicate with us is through our Gmail, ssg@org.gbox.adno.edu.ph. It's actually naman in our Facebook page. So you can see that we're very open to partnerships and etc.
Yun. Thank you, Kirsten. Sam?
Sa amin naman, Kara, we also have Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. It's AdDU Samahan. And for email, we have samahan@adu.edu.ph. For partnerships and other questions or concerns, you may also send me a message, Samantha Cayona, on Facebook po.
Thank you, Sam. And then Paula.
Ayun, you may connect with Ateneo de Zamboanga University. Meron din po kaming Facebook page. That's the whole name of our institution. And as well as for our student government, we have at El Consejo Atenista in Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So you can also connect with us via our email, elconsejo@adzu.edu.ph. For Buklod Atenista, you may also reach us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Same handle lang, @Buklod Atenista. And also, we have our email if you want to connect with us. And of course, if may mga discussions ulit about this, we can also reach out to buklodAtenistaofficial@gmail.com.
Yeah, thank you, Paula. And for AdMU Sanggu naman, we're everywhere at AdMU Sanggu. So thank you so much sa ating mga kasama ngayon. Next week, pag-uusapan natin ang environmental justice bilang isang feminist issue. Mga kasama natin sila Miss Derek Cabe ng Nuclear and Coal-Free Bataan Movement at pagkakaisa ng kababaihan para sa kalayaan or kaisaka. At Miss Iya Maranyon ng Philippine Movement for Climate Justice. Mangyari lamang na bisitahin ang Facebook page ng IPC para sa mga darating na episode. Sana po ay makasama namin kayo sa susunod na Huwebes. So baka naman pwedeng i-like nyo rin ang Institute of Philippine Culture sa Facebook para sa iba pa naming announcement at events. So hanggang sa susunod, ako si Kara Angan at patuloy tayong mag-ingat at laging tandaan kung may gustong maunawan, baka naman pwede nating pag-usapan. So thank you and have a great afternoon.
Baka naman pwede.
Baka naman pwede.
Baka naman pwede.
Mga isyung napapanahon, ating pag-usapan.
Baka naman pwede.
Gamit ang mga pananaw mula sa iba't ibang kalinangan.
Baka naman pwede.
Mula sa Institute of Philippine Culture, kami inyong samahan, tayo'y maghuntahan. Dito lang sa
Baka naman pwede.
Tuwing Huwebes, alas 3 ng hapon, dito lang sa Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.